An anti-Muslim hate group planned an armed protest at a black mosque in Texas, but it didn't really go as they planned. So Raw Story reports here. The group, the Bureau of American Islamic Relations, or BAIR, has made it a habit in the past to show up at mosques with firearms and intimidate worshippers. In November, armed protesters stalked Muslims in Irving. In December, they again stalked Muslims at the Islamic Association of North Texas. But on Saturday, the group that makes a show of carrying guns while they surround places of worship was met in kind at a Nation of Islam mosque in South Dallas. Quote, "This is an armed defense maneuver making sure that our communities are safe and secure from any insurgents coming in," Crystal Muhammad of the New Black Panther Party told Fox 4. Muhammad was armed with a large shotgun. "We won't allow anybody to come in and try to intimidate our brothers and sisters." All right, so what happened here is you had people who are anti-Muslim protesters show up. They were armed. Then you had people, black Muslims from the Nation of Islam show up. They also had guns. And thankfully, you had the armed anti-Muslim protesters turn and go away. Now, two thoughts on this. One is, well, it's funny when you give these armed protesters a taste of their own medicine. What happens? Like, oh, really? You have guns? Well, I got one too. Isn't that interesting? They're like, yeah, all right, let's get out of here. Credit to them, actually, for doing that. But the second thought is, let's not have any of you bring guns. I'm not somebody who's against people owning guns. I've spoken about it before. I call myself a moderate on the issue of gun rights. I mean, I'm in favor of universal background checks. I'm in favor of banning high-capacity magazines and banning certain kinds of guns and setting up a process to make it more difficult to get a gun, yada, yada. But I'm not against people owning guns. But let's not have open carry. I don't know the laws in this particular place of Texas. I'd imagine there is some sort of open carry law because both of them were open carrying and apparently, it wasn't something that's totally against the law. But let's remember here, the Bureau of American Islamic Relations is not the same as CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a Muslim civil rights group. This is the Bureau of American Islamic Relations is an anti-Muslim hate group, but also the New Black Panther Party is a hate group as well, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. So you have one hate group with weapons and another hate group with weapons. How about the solution is no hate groups with no weapons? How about none of you can bring weapons? Look, that's not like people might act like, oh, that's a crazy regulation. You're coming for our guns. Really? To not carry fucking guns open outside? Like, in the open, in public, you carrying guns. That's, like, the most basic regulation ever. It's like, hey, let's not be like the Wild Wild West. But apparently not, and here's the point. There is going to come a time where a protest like this and a clash like this does turn violent. And then we have warring factions in the streets of America. It's already bad enough with our mass shootings every 12 seconds, where 80 people die every single day as a result of gun violence. Between homicides, suicides, accidents, mass shootings. 80 people a day. That's bad enough. But now we're going to have warring factions in the streets of America where, hey, we have sides. In this town, there are sides. The anti-Muslim people and the Muslims. And we're going to have wars here. Oh, no. Reel it in. Pump your brakes. This doesn't end well. So I want everybody to put down their guns. I'm 100% in favor. Look, I may not agree with these anti-Muslim protesters who want to protest random Muslims that are not tied to jihad or radical actions in any way. You have a right to protest and have your voice heard, free expression, free speech. You can say whatever you want, no matter how hateful it is. That cuts both ways, though. So they can say hateful things. They could say those kinds of things also. But I just don't want any of you armed because it's gonna turn bad. Something's gonna go wrong, and this time it didn't, but I don't want to risk it anymore, man. So it's not too much to ask for to say no open carry. And hopefully that'll make it so that you de-escalate the tensions a little bit. But there are some root causes here that would need to be discussed as well. Obviously, there's a growing sentiment in the U.S. of anti-Muslim bigotry, which is real and coming from the far right. Okay, that needs to be discussed. And it also needs to be discussed the rise in Muslim fundamentalism around the world, the rise in literalism. Both things are a problem and both need to be addressed, but let's not address it in the street with guns. That's a bad idea.